Good evening, everybody. It's indeed a pleasure to welcome this august audience on come September. Today we are indeed fortunate and privileged to have amidst us a very learned and enlightened speaker, Dr. Ananda Reddy. The topic is equally with the broad spectrum and interesting freedom and harmony, basic paradigm of management. He is director in Aurobindo Center for Advanced Research and chairman of Institute of Humanity in Hyderabad. I think you also started, sir, University of Tomorrow, online university to disseminate the vision of Sri Aurobindo philosophy. Professor Ananda is nurtured, groomed, developed, evolved in his pursuit of academic study and spiritual journey in Sri Aurobindo Ashram under the shelter of Holy Mother since 1958, as I understand. So you were admitted in your childhood at the age of 11, and it's now more than about 6 decades. Okay. After graduating in 1969, Professor Ananda joined Auroville looking after the education program at Auroville and participated in efforts towards humanity. Subsequently, he also pursued an MA in English and English literature and philosophy, and thereafter did his PhD from Chennai University, and then he went to Bangkok on the assignment of teaching over there. After he returned from abroad, he initiated Aurobindo Center for Advanced Research. Professor Ananda is an acclaimed scholar and a speaker in integral thoughts of Sri Aurobindo. He has acquired in-depth knowledge of Indian and Western philosophy besides Indian culture. He has visited almost all European countries, Russia, Japan, Singapore, US and Far East, giving discourses on Sri Aurobindo's vision, his life and yoga. He has been recipient of 2 very coveted awards. One, Sri Aurobindo Puraskar, given to him by Sri Aurobindo Bhavan, Kolkata in 2004, and Oro Ratna Award by Overman Foundation, Calcutta in 2013. Currently, he has been actively engaged in doing research on Sri Aurobindo's thoughts and in application in management wisdom. Professor Ananda has an in-depth study on the life divine, essays on Gita, Savitri, and various other topics on which there is a recorded speech of about more than 2,000 hours, and some of his speech are already transcribed into the books, and 4 volumes of the book are already published. There are 2 important events, sir. I was listening to your interview that made a change or carved in your destiny, and one of the reasons why you are here today. One is your father, who was also a follower of the Aurobindos in the ashram, and he used to deliver a talk on Aurobindos in Los Angeles and Chicago, and he was a professor, visiting professor in USA, and he aspired to get you admitted in 1958 in Aurobindo school boarding around, and that's why you have whole life over there. Another important event that I would like to mention, he is in 1969, after pursuit of his higher studies in the ashram, he aspired to go abroad for further study in Chicago, I think, and your father supported you to get the admission over there. Normally, Professor Ananda never took any decision of his own unless he is confined and given consented by Holy Mother. And that's how he then went, approached Holy Mother and said that he desired to go abroad for further studies. And Holy Mother responded him that yes, you have two choices. One is that you will have a external name, fame, glory, and a success if you pursue your study in USA. As you can have internal new dimensions of the consciousness unfolded within you, and all the potential is there within you to get enlightened. And Dr. Ananda got an answer there. And on 10th February, on his birthday, he met Mother and disclosed his decision that he has decided to continue to stay in the ashram. And Mother was quite delighted, and she blessed you, I think. And that's how he has been here amidst us today, actually. Today's topic is a very broad spectrum: freedom and harmony, basic paradigm of management. It's like oxygen and a water, basic paradigm of physical existence. So closely related. Freedom of what? Freedom of struggle, freedom from stress, freedom from ego, freedom from lust, freedom from anger, and freedom from greediness. So freedom has a wide term meanings, but it strikes me the wonderful imaginations of divine imagination of Rabindranath Tagore, Heaven of Freedom. I recite few lines: where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where the knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words come out from the depth of the truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfections. We are all trying to reach to the perfections and evolve ourselves, and where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way. This is the heaven of freedom, is one of the meaning of the freedom that appeals to our soul. Yeah. And of course, developing empathy, grace, compassion, human sensitivity builds harmony. And our youth is very, very active for the physical health, but they need to be mentally agile for the mental health also, in order to have the self-discipline or the self-management. So today's topic has a relevance in terms of the freedom and harboring basic paradigm of the management, positively the self-management. If you conquer the self, then you can conquer the world outside. And I leave this stage. We are all very eager and anxious to listen to Dr. Ananda. But on behalf of Ahmedabad Management Association and all of you present over here, I give the flower to welcome Dr. Ananda. And here is a book for you. We will have about 55 minutes lecture followed by 10 minutes of question and answers, right? Thank you very much. Yes, dais is yours.
Namaste to everyone. First of all, let me thank Dr. Atul Parikh. I didn't know that he knows so much about me. You know, normally the CVs don't contain all this, but somehow he has gathered, I don't know the means, A lot of my personal things, for example, what I told about my correspondence with the mother, and two of the events that really guided my life. Yes, sir, you are almost right in the sense that what you quoted from the mother is not absolutely exact, but the meaning is the same. However, I thank you very much because those are the inner secrets that have guided my life. It's not that I wanted to be a professor here and there, but the decision given by the mother that you may go to America for a successful life, but if you stay here in India or stay here, you can open yourself for the new consciousness that is descending. That was in 69. Well, those of you who do not know about the mother and Sri Aurobindo, it may be a bit difficult for you to understand. But of course, I'm not getting into that. If AMA and Sri Aurobindo Sadhana Kendra call me again, I'll give you a bit of a inside view of Sri Aurobindo and the mother and the Sri Aurobindo ashram. But today I'm here for a different purpose. First of all, let me reiterate my thanks to Ahmedabad Management Association along with Sri Aurobindo Sadhana Kendra, and of course all initiated and inspired by my friend Noorji, and of course I have a young friend here who just taken up, and what's her name? And Atira, who has helped me to organize all this event. Well, before coming, I remembered that I was here in 2017. What meant 6 years back? Yeah, not bad. And I had spoken on a topic called "O Man, Manage Thyself." It has been perennially the same thing, trying to connect spirituality with management. And all, of course, in the light of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. You may be surprised that how is it that Sri Aurobindo and the mother concentrated on management too. Well, it's not a surprise. I'll invite you to Sri Aurobindo Sadhana Kendra tomorrow. What time? 5:30 or so? My turn. Because I have in fact a talk on the management skills by the mother. So it's a direct talk saying what kind of management did the mother do in the ashram and at Auroville. It's only to give you a hint, not that I want to advertise my talk, but just to tell you how Sri Aurobindo and the mother integrated all activities, all human activities, including the so-called management, economics, politics even. Remember that. Even the politics, I'm emphasizing on that. They included that into spiritual life. They did not cut off spiritual and non-spiritual life. There is nothing as such. Because as I said, all life is yoga. So in that way, nothing is non-yoga, nothing is non-spiritual. So Sri Aurobindo and the mother had this wide basis and accommodated all human activities into a possible path of yoga. What do I mean by yoga? Possible ways to unite with the divine. So that's why it's so very wonderful to follow Sri Aurobindo and the mother. There is no ism, there is no categorical religion, nationality, creed, caste, etc., nothing of the sort. Your whole life itself can be a pathway to the divine. So that is how in this context I have spoken in my last talk. I thought this time I will be more particular, more specific, more focused. That's why I chose this freedom and harmony as basic basis of management theory itself. Having said that, can I have a glass, please? Oh, no, each time I have to open that, is it? So, you see, I'm not going to deal with management per se. I know there are some experts in management here in the audience, maybe experts in other fields, but I'm going to speak from the angle of philosophy, a philosophical review of how management can adapt new principles. New means some basic principles, out of which I've chosen two of them, that is freedom and harmony. See, I know many of you have spoken about, have read about the famous 14 Principles of Management by Henry Fayol. And of course, your Peter Drucker, I came to know that he is the man who invented management. And you have Lillian Gilbert as the mother of management. All these names you know very well. I don't have to repeat them. But what's interesting is that in spite of having all these experts in the field, where are we? What have we done with management principles? We have basically focused on two things instead of three. We have focused on matter, money, and tried to focus on money, on man. So these are the three things: matter, money, and man. Definitely there's been a great progress in the field of matter and money. We have seen in the last couple of decades immense progress that has been made in matter, means material things. Of course, matter itself has exposed itself, given away its secrets, and to the scientists and the technologists we see matter giving new ideas, new depths of itself. And thanks to the studies of the scientists and the technology, we have gone very far into technology, and we have almost landed in the AI, artificial intelligence. So one side, development of matter is taking us thus far, artificial intelligence. But on the other side, the development of money, that is also, you see, it is something very important. Money, what it was a few decades ago, is not the same today. Of course, there's a lot of development, increase in the wealth. But what the mother would say, money does not belong to anybody. We should not try to possess money, because it is the individual sense of possession that's wrong, and that really deviates the human consciousness. She advised, saying, money should become wealth. There's a difference between money and wealth. Wealth means it's the wealth of a nation, wealth of a community, wealth of a larger group. It should not belong and get restricted to the individual. So from that side too, I see there's a lot of progress. What we have seen in the world today, the development of money, is immense, the development of wealth. So what we see, the global economy, what all we are singing about, India becoming the third greatest economic power, all that is a big thing. So we do acknowledge that matter and money have progressed immensely and leaps and bounds. But there is a catch here. See, this is where Sri Aurobindo comes in to say, in his little book called The Mother, those of you who have read it, I'm giving a reference, that there is a triangular force, a triangular connection between money, power, and sex. So it is amazing to see this this irreparable, indivisible triangle. Where there is money, there is power. Where there is power, there is sex. Try to put this into the present picture of humanity all over the world, it's not just India. And you will see this is the triangle that's really pervading, dominating the human consciousness. So that is why we have got to be careful to see, just to develop matter and money is not sufficient, because we are going to get into the vital level, what Sri Aurobindo would say, the vital level of the sex. And all the things that we see in India about the rapes and all the damn things is nothing but that. Is not an individual thing. The rapes and all that we see in the news is not something separated. It's got to do connection with the money and power. Be it political power, be it any kind of power, it's the power of the CEO or power of this. So what Sri Aurobindo and the mother have advised is that now management should look into man, the development of the human being. Because after all, it is affecting the human life. So first principle that I would put forward for the management leaders is that focus on the human being. Man is important, because otherwise this money and power and sex are really pulling down the human consciousness, and all the violence and the wars and all that is happening in the world, we are the cause of that. So Sri Aurobindo tilts the balance and says, "Oh, management leaders, follow now the emphasis on human being." And what is that emphasis? Otherwise you see all the tragedies that we are landed up in. So what Sri Aurobindo has emphasized upon is, it's time that if we do not emphasize upon the human being and bring into the leaders of management this element of the development of man, then we will be nowhere. Otherwise we will be, doomed. So it's in that context that I have focused upon two very major principles. Now you see, this question of what is the solution, what do we do with as human beings, how do we go about that? Sri Aurobindo has given an excellent answer, a very brief one, in one of his books called The Life Divine, where there is a single sentence which I think you should memorize. And that's a master key to all the problems, where he says, all problems of existence are essentially problems of harmony. It's a very general line, it seems, apparently. But the more you go into that line, all problems of existence are essentially problems of harmony. That's where I caught the hint that this is where we are lacking. On a very practical level, see, this is not, I'm not telling you about spirituality, go and meditate under the tree and do this mantra and all that. That's of course the spiritual life for the yogis to tell. But this is a very practical thing. Because without this harmony, we see that this kind of a harmony is lacking within us. First of all, where is the disharmony? If Sri Aurobindo says, are essentially problems of harmony, what are the points of disharmony? Is it a disharmony means quarrels between two people? Or some kind of a misunderstanding, two groups? Or is it a fight between two religions? No, it's not that. First of all, there is a disharmony within the human being. So you see, we all start correcting ourselves, because the disharmony is within myself. Where is the disharmony? You see, first of all, what we have to realize is that human beings are not just as simple as we seem to be, with having a name and a form and my CV and all that. We consist of 4 different parts actually. Every human being is consisting of 4 different parts. And there's a disharmony between the parts. And that disharmony is what is causing all these problems. In fact, the mother goes to the extent of saying that even our illness, even the accidents, all these are due to the disharmony within us. So it's not that what the medical science tells us, this is wrong, your heartbeat is wrong, you've got a clogged heart, etc. All that is an external analysis. But from the psychological and spiritual point of view, because we have a disharmony between the mind and the heart, between the heart and the body, between the soul and the mind, so this, we are not a composite whole. That's what is the problem with us. That when, and in fact, to use a word from spirituality, it is to bring these together into a harmonious whole that forms the essence of sadhana or yoga, whatever you want to call. So this is where the whole thing begins. How do we bring the harmony within ourselves, between the parts that we are? Well, that is the basic thing. But before we develop that, I'd like to touch upon the first aspect that I had called about freedom. Then I'll take up the question of the harmony. Now this, what do we understand by freedom? Sarah just now told you a beautiful poem from Tagore. What do we understand by freedom? But here is what Sri Aurobindo and the mother have to say. They say freedom is not a convenient elbow room for our natural energies. Normally we think, oh, I want freedom means I want to do what I want to do. It's not just the freedom to be able to do what my natural energies means what? My hunger, my greed, my sex capacity, everything. It's a natural hunger of the human body. That is not freedom. In fact, he would say, freedom is an eternal aspect of the spirit. As essential to life as breath itself. You see how important is freedom. It is as important to life as breath itself. His concept of freedom is based on the premise that there is in mankind an evolving soul requiring freedom for its evolution. So this is very interesting to see. Freedom is essential to all spiritual growth. It is not just the freedom is required for national freedom or get rid of the slavery, all that thing, and also as Sir told you, freedom from lower nature, freedom from jealousies, freedom from hunger. That is one type. But this freedom that is there is basic for spirituality. You see, this is the difference between spirituality and religion. Religion doesn't give you freedom. It says these are the laws, these are the rules, these are the dogmas you have to follow. But spirituality doesn't give you any of these rules and regulations. It gives you the freedom to grow. So that is the most essential difference. If you want to take to a spiritual life, you need to be free, because in freedom alone spirit grows. And now where we see freedom, when we go a little deeper, we see who is free within us. My mind is not free. It has all kinds of fears, all kinds of ideas. In fact, all of you have tried to meditate somewhere, sometime or the other. You will see that your thoughts and mind is never free. It is bombarded with ideas. You cannot be having a silence of the mind. So you feel miserable that I cannot be free. And nor are your emotions and heart is free. Nor is the body free from all the ailments and the sickness. So what is free? Who is free? The only thing that is free within us is our own soul. So when we say that I want freedom, it is this soul which is saying that I want to live free. Free from these lower natures, free from these traps of desires and all that. So there is freedom within us, but not outside of us. That is why the Sri Aurobindo emphasizes, And even our ancient yogis and all the great sadhaks have emphasized only on one thing: get the freedom of the soul. And that actually is what we mean by realization. Many times we have heard that this is a man who has realized himself. But what's the meaning of realization? It is to get this freedom of the soul. When you contact your psychic being or the soul, one of the very first things that comes to your mind is, I am free. So whenever you get this experience of I am free, that's the first voice of the soul, that's the first sign of realization. So this freedom is very great, is very deep. And therefore we will see that all great movements have begun with this cry for freedom. The great French Revolution, all of you know that. Freedom, equality, fraternity, or liberté, égalité, fraternité. So freedom has been the cry of everyone. So our nations have fought for freedom, our individuals. What does a sadhak do? What does a yogi do? He wants freedom. So this freedom, that is really the thirst of every human being. And in one of the stories that the mother told about the creation of this universe, she tells us that the divine has established two principles, and one of them is freedom. So freedom to grow, freedom to develop, freedom to increase. And when this freedom is smashed, is controlled, that human beings are really under pressure. However, this freedom is the first cry of the human being. And Sri Aurobindo has given us one more mantra which I would like to share with you, to give the importance, showing the importance of freedom. In one of his books, if you have read, those of you who have read The Life Divine, anyone read The Life Divine? Oh, lovely, at least 3 or 4. Great, I'm happy. Yes, if you remember the very first paragraph of The Life Divine, the first chapter of Aspiration, he says human beings have followed one formula in all its evolution from the beginning of man's evolution till now. There's one progressive path. There are 4 stages. He says God, light, freedom, immortality. You understand now the meaning of freedom. The first thing that human society asked for is God. That's where religion was born. God means in search of divinity. So everywhere, all human beings in whatever nature, whatever civilization they have been, the first attempt is Godhead. Religions, gods, everywhere. Then slowly humanity progressed into light, where there was the light, the knowledge of not only spirituality, but knowledge of the world, what we call sciences, technology, all that has come in. And then Sri Aurobindo says, today we are on the level of freedom. That's why since a century you see only one cry all over the world is, I want to be free. Be it Africa, or there is Middle East, be it India, be it Far East, be it China, every cry is freedom. And even individually, women's freedom, women's liberation, men's this thing, this. So this is the age of freedom. You see, in one way we have passed the age of light, God and light. So there is religion that is existing still. But Sri Aurobindo and the mother have gone ahead so far that they say, declare that the age of religions is over. We have to move on to what is beyond religion, that is spirituality. That is the 4th age. We are now in the age of freedom, And after this, I don't know how long it will take, but we will be in the age of immortality or bliss. So that is the age of spirituality. So these are the predictions of Sri Aurobindo. It's for us to see how long it takes, but we are moving towards that. So here is a full picture of freedom from the colossal cosmic age, God, light, freedom and immortality. That's on the cosmic level. And then we have freedom, equality and fraternity on the level of the nations and societies. And we have also this freedom within the individual, that is the soul. So this is the beautiful image that we see in Sri Aurobindo's concept of freedom. And now I'll take you to the second one, that is of harmony. And this is something that we see essential, as I had already told you, that is essential to see that we must bring in some kind of a harmony within ourselves. I have already told you about that. And you will be free, you will have harmony only when it touches your deeper self. And why am I telling you this philosophy? You may ask the question, what has it all got to do with management? Well, as I told you, it is a completely new angle of looking at management principles. We are not here to follow what the management leaders have told us, your great 14 principles. All of you must be knowing that by heart, where they emphasize on unity of direction, discipline, authority, division of work. All that is common lot now. But if we do not concentrate on the human being, we will not survive the future. And for surviving the future, freedom is the call. And I'm telling you again that management principles must find out new ways how to implement this freedom on the level of their own companies. How to do that? That's for the leaders to do. Now I'll concentrate, as I said, on the level of harmony, but there also I'll give you some practical steps how it can be done. One thing is harmony. First of all, you must understand it is unity and not uniformity. This is what the mother tells us, Sri Aurobindo has also emphasized. Now when we say harmony, the immediate idea that we get is uniformity. All of you follow one rule, one dress, one code of conduct, one this thing, and we say my company is very good, there's a complete harmony because we all speak the same language, the same way we say good morning, the same dress we have got, the same tie we have got. But that is uniformity, it's not unity. So again, spirituality is far away from uniformity. And this is something that we don't have to emphasize in India, where there is a tremendous multiplicity. So there has got to be, the moment we say harmony, we have to bring in multiplicity. That means a oneness of the multiplicity, not a uniformity of the multiplicity. Because any uniformity kills spirituality. That's why India has been alive for centuries, because it has always kept the multiplicity, the diversity. So even in a company, the same principles apply. You may argue today, lots of questions may be put in, how is it possible that we must have a hierarchy, we must have this and that. Well, all those questions put together, we don't know how we can do that. But if spirituality has to be brought in, we have to remember it's a kind of a homework for the leaders to sit together and say, hey, how are we going to bring in this kind of a unity? And keeping the diversity, because uniformity is something against spirituality. And if management has to proceed further in the light of bringing an evolutionary aspect to the human beings, one of the important things is freedom, and second thing we have to implement is harmony. And then we have another thing very simple. Sri Aurobindo says, harmony, just as we said, freedom and harmony go together, harmony goes together with beauty. Now that's something strange. You see, how is beauty brought into management? You see, beauty is an external aspect of the divine. You see, there is beauty in the physical level. So where a company or a uniformity or a corporate body or even a AMA that I see, there's got to be everything beautiful, aesthetically beautiful. Beauty doesn't mean, putting together all kinds of glamorous, colorful objects together. There's beauty in simplicity. So beauty must imitate something of the nature's simplicity. So this is also part of harmony, because this brings in the idea of a vital, the emotional, your heart level idea of something beautiful. So even at homes or at institutions or schools, this must be practiced of putting beauty all around us. Because we see here, when I was walking in, I saw the gardens, how they are kept up here in the AMA, the beautiful gardens. So this is not just a fancy thing. It's not just to engage a gardener and give him money and say, make it beautiful, it's attractive. No. It's part of life itself. So this seems to be very simple. But remember, friends, that this is part of the education of the students being exposed to management. And we have to see the other thing that can be inculcated. Harmony and beauty. But Sri Aurobindo has given one more beautiful line actually. He says, harmony and beauty of mind and soul. This is not just beauty in the physical things. There's harmony and beauty. This is a strange combination. Harmony and beauty of the mind and soul. What do we understand? Harmony and beauty of the mind. That's exactly what we see, beauty of thought. Where there's no jealousy, where there's no anger, when there's no this thing. A purity of thought, purity of ideas. So, sir, it's so, in a way, difficult and in a way very practical. That is, there must be beauty and harmony of mind and soul, harmony and beauty of thoughts and feelings, harmony and beauty in every outward act and movement, harmony and beauty of life and surrounding. This is something, I think, that should be written in every textbook of management. That we are not here to practice only money and matters and profit and loss and wastage and all that. All that is so very superficial, that can be passed on, but it goes to a cul-de-sac, a dead end. And that's exactly what I see now. Managements are big, multi-crores earnings and all that, but the human being has remained where he is. So this is where Sri Aurobindo steps in to say that unless and until we bring in these spiritual qualities, management too is something stagnant. So this is something that will bring in harmony at all levels of mind, heart, of every activity. So in a way, if you see it very clearly, it is a kind of a practice of tapasya. So this is, I'm emphasizing, and I'm aware how difficult it is. And yet tomorrow when people go and get the training for management, why don't you speak of all these things? Why do you just say how to earn more money, what is the best profit, what is the best thing, how not to do wastage? But all this is where I think our youngsters must be given lessons in. Now one more thing I'll add, some my minutes are there. I'll tell you two more things. Very simple. He says one of the things of harmony is collaboration. Harmony and collaboration have to go together. He says that is a collaboration and not a competition. Well, that many of the management systems, they tell us, there's a lot of collaboration taking place around the world, and yet it's not yet all that rampant. There's still a competitive spirit. Competitive spirit, what does it do? It brings out the lower nature of man. What do we mean by the lower nature of man? The jealousies, the competition, even to the extent of killing each other. So it doesn't give any kind of a spiritual growth, or it doesn't give us any kind of an inner growth to the human being. So the mother would tell us, turn more and more towards collaboration. Collaboration not only between the two companies, but collaboration between individuals, between groups. Inside the company itself, the attitude of collaboration must be there. In fact, to give you a very practical example, the mother in the ashram, she encouraged this question of subordination and collaboration with each other. So she never said, you are the head of the department, so you can do what you want, you are the leader, you are the CEO. Because she said spirituality grows in collaboration. Spirituality means one's own inner growth. Because otherwise what happens, friends, is that there's a lopsided growth. Your mind, your vital, your money, your capacity may increase, but on the other side, so-called your happiness quotient becomes lower and lower. And quite by the Middle Ages, you will see that what have I done with my life? I've earned all the money that I can, but am I really happy? Happy is one thing, but ask yourself another question. Am I really peaceful? That's one thing, that question that can really, you can put yourself against the, in front of the mirror. Am I at peace with myself? That's one question that disturbs. Peace and happiness are two different things. Peace is where you have the, the whole being itself is quiet, accepting, and there is a kind of an inner joy. Happiness is dependent on the outer things, but peace is something within. So he would say that this question of collaboration, helping others, is something that's very positive in the spiritual, in these management principles. Second principle is goodwill. Imagine, this is another principle that can be inducted into management principles. And I feel all this could become quite a good syllabus of management classes. If I elaborate all that, they can be put into a beautiful course, a management course in spiritual lines. The second one is, first is collaboration. Second one, as I said, is goodwill. Of course, the very beginning we said freedom, harmony, beauty. Now the third one we said is collaboration. Next is goodwill. Goodwill, you may say, why? Well, that is what she says. Goodwill for all and goodwill from all is the basis of peace and harmony. You see how each one is linked to the other. Collaboration and peace, peace and goodwill, because it is goodwill for all and from all is something that is basic to peace and harmony. And the next one is benevolence. Benevolence includes sincerity and silence and not a showing off. You see how all these are so-called spiritual things, but can be put into daily practice in our management, in our corporate bodies, in our schools, in our colleges. How is it? Includes sincerity and silence and not a showing off. Because there are many people who help others but want to show off. This is something so very natural and practiced so widely that I have a benevolence nature, I've helped this temple, I've helped this church, I've helped this man. But then show off. My name should be there, my placard should be there, I've donated, put it in the newspaper. This is quite against any spiritual evolution. Because remember, the showing off, putting oneself above, is always anti-spiritual. Why? Is nothing unspiritual about it, but just because it gives you encouragement to your own ego, that I am so and so, I have given 50,000 rupees, $5,000, That's not benevolence. That's ego showing off. So you see, there's a very thin line between spirituality and this management, how we can be helpful and yet not speak about it. So that's in brief about the benevolence. And then there's one very important line, character, that is tolerance. Well, you might have heard a lot about this tolerance, but you know, tolerance usually brings in the sense of superiority. I tolerate him, the sense of superiority. But that's not tolerance. Tolerance is total understanding. It's an acceptance out of understanding, not sense of I am so and so, I am a CEO, I am this thing, I tolerate you, are a bacha, you are a kacha, you are nobody, still I tolerate you. No, that's not tolerance. Tolerance comes out of a sense of understanding each other. There's one little example I quote from the mother. He says, for example, when there's a board meeting, you know, management people have lots of board meetings or any kind of meeting. She says, one of the first things you do is, you know, because the moment we come to a board meeting, all of us give our opinions, difference of opinion, there's a quarrel, there is this and that, and then it ends up in no conclusion. She gives a very practical hint. She says, first take out all those ideas which really come together. That means those of us who agree with each other. So if a manager sits or the CEO sits at the table and says, this is our issue, who are with me in this idea? So all those of you who are with me, then we come together. You see, it may be a very practical thing, but what does it mean? She says, spiritually, you are creating an atmosphere of oneness. So first create this atmosphere of this kind of a coming together and say, hey, we are one. And then the differences can come in. Then you may say, okay, all of this, 5 of you have agreed with me. Others, what do you think? The other 7 of them, they say, no, we don't agree. It's not the question of majority. I'm saying we are 7 and you are 5. It's not the voting. Because this democracy doesn't work here in spirituality. Now, once this atmosphere of oneness is created, then the differences can be absorbed or resolved. So this is where we see the question of tolerance. It is not the question of, oh, we are 7 of us, we tolerate you, 5 of us. No. It is in fact coming together. But these are all I'm in a hurry to take you through. The last point here is this question of, you know, this is slightly spiritual in the sense talking about the ego. Well, all of us know what ego is, but when we talk about it, it becomes a spiritual talk where most of us we do not even agree. But there's one hint that I got from a very great sadhak in the ashram. He said, you will understand each other to be non-egoistic. There's one, anybody Bengali here? Any Bengali audience? No. Not even one Bengali here in Gujarat, of course. He says, हार ना मानले की harmony होय. I think you understand. If you don't हार ना मानले की harmony होय, can there be harmony without accepting defeat somewhere? That means you have to say, yes, I may be wrong. See, this is a fundamental problem with all our quarrels, that I am right. Not only right, I'm 100% right. This is where we go wrong. And this is a very, very practical thing to say. Mother would say, no, I'm right. You are also right. You see, you are right from a different angle. I'm right from a different angle. That's why whenever there have been quarrels around Auroville or ashram, she would say, both are right, both are wrong. Because she says, divine never has only one angle. Divine looks at a problem from multiple angles. So each one of you, when you argue, please never think that you are fully right, 100% right. I'm right, but you're also right. So this is what we say, har na manle ki harmony hoy. So there's some kind of a withdrawal, acceptance to say, I may be right, you may be right. Where is the problem? Okay, we are looking at it from different angle. If I say this is black and you say no, this is brown, from my side it's black, I'm seeing the time, and your side you're not seeing. But it doesn't mean I'm wrong. You say, no sir, look, I'm seeing the time. So it's only changing one's angle that will help us to come together. One last hint. This I learned from my childhood, as I was telling, from the age of 11, I was there in the ashram. There's a very simple thing that I followed. Mother has one formula. Shak shows us a plus, Shak shows us so plus. Each thing has its place, and each thing has a place. Remember that. Because each thing has a place. That means in this world, each one of us, we have a place. But not only that, that this has a utility, this watch has a utility. But when I keep it on my table, it must be kept at a particular place where I keep every day. Why? Why can't I keep it here? It's very convenient for me. She says, no. That's exactly where spirituality bang comes in. Spirituality respects each material object. It doesn't say this is non-living, how does it feel, I can keep it here, I can keep it there. But if I want to see this sir on left side and Noor sir right side, you will say it's not protocol. Yes, it's not protocol. Because each person has his own place. And a simple example, she says, look, for example, a teacher goes into the classroom and he knows that Mr. X is here, Mr. Y is there, Z is there. So every day the students come and sit in their own places, fixed places. So there's a kind of an attraction. And so the teacher, even if he knows number 42 is not in the classroom, but she knows mentally where that 42 is. So this is a simple way of teaching us that respect every little object. So this is a very major lesson in management courses, that where we learn to respect that matter and spirit are one and together. After all, what have we said, our great Vedanta, Upanishads and all of them, they have taught us only one thing. Those great Mahavakyas, all of us know, Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi. These are not all big things, they are really practicable things. When you say Aham Brahmasmi, it's not that I am Brahman and I am proud to be Brahman. That truth tells me that this Brahman, and also the famous Sri Ramakrishna's story, all of you know, the elephant rider who was walking, who was going on the road. He asked the master that when I was walking in the forest and the elephant came in front, and the elephant driver said, move away from the road. But I said, no, I am Brahman, and the elephant is Brahman, and the fellow who is driving it is Brahman. So why should I move out? Then the elephant, took the guy from with his trunk and threw him out of the road. He goes back to the Guru and says, hey, why is it the Brahman has thrown me another Brahman? He says, exactly, Brahman, the driver, Brahman, the elephant, has already told you, Brahman, Mr. X, move out. So there's all Brahman and achieving, but your ego came in. You said, I alone am Brahman. So this is where Aham Brahmasmi is not a big, is a big Mahavakya as it is said. But it can be put into practice when you see that all this spirit, matter, form, body is verily the divine. In fact, all of us in this room, outside this room, in this world, in the Gujarat, we are all nothing but formations of the divine consciousness. It's the divine who is infinitely playing with himself. Matter is nothing but the divine's form in matter. So we are privileged that we have been given a name. This is the name that Brahman himself has taken upon himself coming into this form. So this is not spirituality, and management must give us this kind of a unity of matter and spirit. It is not matter to be rejected and use and throw. All this Western ideals that have come to us, I think high time we should say, no, sorry. We are not here to have a use and throw methodology or the scientific or the idea. We are here to take care of matter. This has been given to me by the divine, by God, but whatever you must say, well, I bought it for 5,000 rupees, fine. But a spiritual attitude would be, it's a divine gift that has been given to me. And when I say it is a divine gift, I take care of it. Because it's a gift from the divine. So this kind of a unity of spirit and matter can come into the very life itself. It's not impossible. So do not think that what all I've said is highly spiritual, yoga has nothing to do. No. It's a question of how we can turn this, formulate that into a very beautiful course for management. And we can, the leaders here of management, wherever you are in the companies, you should think, seriously how to give courses in this. And we at Pondicherry, I run a center called Sri Aurobindo Center for Advanced Research. We run courses in all these things. It's actually online courses. So we could participate, collaborate with any institution, turning such courses for youngsters for a few weeks, for a few months, whatever it is. So I think it's high time, at least we in India, to turn into our own Mahavakyas and put them into practical things. To say, what all I've spoken to you today, somebody can speak on a spiritual message in his own spiritual classroom. But I think this is not impossible to put it into a management courses itself. So friends, this is where we see the coming together in a very practical manner, spirituality and management. And these are the things that can be practiced. But the only thing I request is that these should be inculcated when students are young. Because it's the young mind that can be impacted. Otherwise, once our minds have a mindset, no, I don't believe in that, no, this is all rubbish, Brahman is different, I don't know if Brahman exists and all that. All those talks, we can all argue that. But Sri Aurobindo is that multifaceted genius. I started telling, Sri Aurobindo does not discriminate between the spiritual and the non-spiritual, religious and non-religious, because he believes that everything, every activity can be turned into a direct path to the divine. Not through temples, not through pujaris, not through churches, no zigzag. You as an individual can go to the divine yourself. Did not all our great yogis and pandits do that? They did not have great schools of management or great schools of teaching. So I take this opportunity once again to thank all of you. I try to put it as simply as possible, but there's a great potential in all these things to make it into a beautiful course, and we could be of any help. I'd be happy to help the director, saying that we'll be at your command, at your pleasure. Thank you so much everyone for having come. Wonderful. Would you like some questions?
Thank you very much for a very enlightening talk by you with the illustrations and the defining well what's freedom and the harmony and how it can be essential to be placed in the management like mind and money and a matter. And they say that if you mind, it does matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Okay. So the harmony amongst this has to be established with the freedom, and the freedom very mature and disciplined freedom on the self-management. Now we devote next 5 minutes about any question answers that you have. And before that question answer, I would like to break some good news since the president of the AMA, Divya Sradia, is present over here. Today the news has come that the Ahmedabad Management Association is declared the Best LMA Category 1 Award for 2022-23. So big credit to Divyesh Radia and the executive director and the team members. And now the forum is open for a question answer, please. Any questions? Yeah. Just give him a mic.
Good evening, sir. My name is Mitesh. I'm basically from IT industry. The most of the problems small companies face is that when they recruit a person, they don't find the right talent, in fact. So how can we use spirituality? Let's say unity and freedom, it really works wonderful. But from the, let's say, recruitment perspective, how can we find the right talent? Is there any thoughts?
Can you repeat the question?
His question is that when we want to find the small industries, when we want to find the right talent, they are lacking the right talent. So how do we connect the spirituality with the lack of talent? And is it?
Yeah, that's
is it
right.
a question?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir. I think it's a question that I've faced before too. Yeah, this lack of talent and search of talent has been one of the difficulties of any company. Well, you see, as I said, do not connect spirituality separately when you're looking for talent. It's a question of, of course, you start off with whatever talent you have. You see, it's not that you'll find in the market all these talented people, or how to connect to spirituality, you said.
May I interrupt, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
See, basically, we have some tests from the Western countries, which is called psychometric test.
Yes.
One of them I know is the DISC theory. DISC, D-I-S-C.
Uh-huh.
So through which, we can understand that this person is suitable for the in-house job, or like research, or from marketing, sales. So we can identify that, and based on which, we can take an interview. So apart from that, which I wanted to understand, like from the spiritual perspective, is there any framework as such?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to understand.
That's true, I understand you. No, so in this sense, you see, there's no such given framework. You see, these are all qualities that can be seen once you take the person in. You see, you take the person in based on those formats or on this questionnaire that you have got, as you have got it today. But tomorrow when the person comes to you or working with you, then you see this development of these qualities that we are saying, collaboration, supportive nature and all that. These are qualities that are not there. You can develop them while the person is working with you. So you don't need a format for that. And especially, I would say spirituality is not something that can be written down on forms and number one form. It's the evolution of a contact that you develop while you are working together. So it is not a question that on day one you can say, oh, this man is meant for me, or no. Because especially spirituality doesn't believe in this kind of a formatting that goes anti-spiritual. So once you have taken the person, then develop these qualities and see that you can. Because never ever attempt to bring in any formatting, then it becomes religious again, and again it becomes restricted. So let's not attempt to bind spiritual qualities into kind of a formatting. You wanted to say something?
No,
Yeah.
I hope you got an answer for it.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, please. Last one question.
Hello, accident lecture. You talked about diversity, so you feel that diversity is being killed, and what should we do? Diversity in India is being killed.
Is being
Killed.
killed.
Yes.
Well, it's a statement, not a question. You see, almost I would say, I'm sorry to say that, it sounds political. But I think let's not bring in any political views into this, because you see, I come to Ahmedabad today, or yesterday I came. And sorry to tell you a personal thing. I and my wife have been enjoying Gujarati food so much. I'm from South India. But I told my wife, you eat as much as you can, because this kind of a diversity of Gujarati food you will not get in Madras. So I don't think diversity is killed. In fact, it is so much flourishing in the country. And I tell you, friend, as somebody told you, I think he told you, I've been abroad many times. But mind you, right from California to New Zealand, the New York, there's the same pizza, there's the same these things, the same language. Hi, how come are you? अरे यार कोई नमस्ते भी नहीं बोलते, bonjour भी नहीं बोलते, हाथ नहीं मिलाते. Hi, Reddy, how are you? And right from across those millions or thousands of miles, there's no diversity and you get damn bored. But India is one country where you are alive. You cross a border 100 meters, 100 miles, and you see. Sorry, sir, I do disagree with you that diversity is killed. It's so good here. That's why I encourage to go about with my wife. Tomorrow I'm going to go to, next time I go to Bengal. We have a samosa and luchi and aloo dum and all that. You know, this really is India. It's vibrant, I tell you. But on a living level, it's vibrant. On a political level, yeah, we have lots of views. I know what you mean. Right. Okay, I think you want.
I request Mr. Mukhi to give a vote of thanks now. Thank you.
Please all scan the feedback form and opinion your.
Respected Dr. Anand Reddy, Shri Atul Bhai Parikh, AMA Chairman Shri Radia Sahib, respected colleagues as well as participants to this program, I am pleased to propose a vote of thanks to today's very insightful and scholarly speaker Dr. Anand Reddy on behalf of Ahmedabad Management Association and on behalf of Sri Aurobindo Sadhana Kendra. He has made a very interesting presentation on freedom and harmony, basic paradigms of management. He has revealed some new directions to the present thinking on management. We are generally used to, especially the kind of management that is happening in businesses and organizations. But it is evolved and got developed through the instrumentality of mind. But now there is a growing acceptance of management by consciousness. Sri Aurobindo has also indicated various layers of mind. The present humanity in the life is used to ordinary mind, but there is a higher mind above the ordinary mind. Still at a higher level is illumined mind, and further still higher is overmind. These are the layers. Up to this level, some yogis and vibhutis or past avatars were able to reach. But Sri Aurobindo and the Divine Mother, as their life mission, scaled still higher level to supermind and got supramental forces descent on earth for future evolution of human beings and heralding arrival of a new race. This is just for an indication of how high is the goal for our humanity, and its evolved so-called management that has attained so far. Dr. Reddy has founded and organized an AMA-like center at Puducherry for the field of spirituality with a global platform. We are indeed grateful, Dr. Reddy, for being with us and sparing your valuable time for this program and sharing new thoughts. In the end, I am glad to announce that Dr. Reddy will be delivering a talk on the Divine Mother as spiritual manager tomorrow evening at 6:15 to 7:20 at Sri Aurobindo Sadhana Kendra. This Kendra is at 63 Yash Kamal Society, just opposite Dr. Jivraj Mehta Hospital and nearby Harin Pandya Municipal Garden in Vasana area of Ahmedabad. You are welcome to join. Thank you all once again.
With a vote of thanks, we disperse here and thank you.